Live from the campus of Westfield State University, this is 89.5 FM, WSKB, Westfield. Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Westfield Bank. For more than 160 years, Westfield Bank has been an important community presence and commercial leader in the Pioneer Valley, with convenient full banking services in Westfield, West Springfield, East Longmeadow, Agawam, Feeding Hills, Springfield, Southwick, as well as Enfield and Granby, Connecticut. Visit us on the web at westfieldbank.org.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 6:03. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses and WCPC cable channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host, and I am in the studio this morning with the chairman of the board, our producer, Pete Coles. Good morning.
You forgot who I was.
I forgot the title. I'm like, no, chairman of the board, Pete Coles. I know. You take 1 week off, Pete, and I'm all discombobulated. What can I say?
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about the big trip with the big launch. And so how was it?
A lot of driving.
Went down to Virginia.
Yes. So drove to Virginia, which is about an 8-hour drive. Then the next day, my girlfriend flew into Norfolk, which is a 2-hour each way drive.
Yeah.
A lot of driving.
Yeah, so that was a lot of driving back and forth.
Met up to see Jim Wiggs while I was down there because he lives in Ocean City, which is about 45 minutes north.
Oh, I love Jim Wiggs. How's he doing down there?
Doing very well. He got finished playing 9 holes of golf. He and then came over and met up with Ken and I.
Oh my gosh.
He started a business down there with another guy in the complex doing property management.
Now where is he, Pete?
Berlin, which is just outside Ocean City.
Ocean City, Maryland.
From Ocean City, Maryland. Yep.
Okay, sure. Oh.
So he's doing property management now.
I miss him.
He says it's a great gig because
does he love it?
There's a lot of vacation homes.
Yeah.
He said they do such a good job. They're turning away business because they don't want to hire anybody else.
Yeah.
Just want it to be the 2 guys, and they're doing property management stuff. So yeah, he's having a good time down there.
Oh, did you know ahead of time that you were going to meet up with him, or did you kind of decide on that once you got down there?
I always give him a heads up when I'm coming down, and we try to work schedules.
Yeah.
Because he's busy now.
Yes.
Not quite retired like he thought he would be, but he's...
Well, in a different way, though.
Right.
So for the viewers who don't know, Jim Wiggs was our emergency management director here for the city of Westfield for a number of years and really got us through some of our worst, in my opinion, some of the worst disasters that we've had. The tornado, the ice storm, had to set up emergency housing for people. Temporary shelters.
Yep.
Just an unbelievable. He's a military man. Just an unbelievable.
He got us through
person.
2011.
He did.
Which was the year of every disaster.
The year of everything.
Under the sun.
Just
we had
as
earthquake.
former Mayor Dan Knappich. Yeah, we had an earthquake. We had a tornado.
We had a couple of major snowstorms, including the ice storm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we had everything that year. I remember that quite well. I was on the emergency management team.
I remember it too. It was hard. But anyway, Jim, I can't say enough about him. He was Jim is just a take charge kind of a person. And I remember when, COVID hit and Jim was still here at the beginning of COVID. He got us through the first year. And I just remember thinking there's no one. In fact, I said this to, anyone who would listen. There's no one I would rather have in charge during a disaster than Jim Wiggs. Just an upstanding guy. So
so it's fun. It's always fun catching up with him.
Yeah, for sure. And you and Kenny did okay. Everybody was, you're still talking to each other.
Oh yeah,
I know.
Well,
you guys travel well together, right?
This was great because this time we were smart. We paid a little bit extra for our rooms.
Yep.
But Kenny's balcony could see the launch pad from the balcony.
Get out of here.
So we made note of that with the hotel. So when we go back, we can book the same room.
Yes.
My room was down the hall, but I wanted a king size bed, and he was okay with 2 queens.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So my room became the control room. We bought a hunk of cable and ran it between the rooms over the rafters, down the hallway.
Oh my God, you guys are hysterical. Did this hotel know what it was in for? I mean,
yes, we gave them a heads up.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Yes, we did give them a heads up.
And how far was the hotel from the launch pad?
About 4.5 to 5 miles.
Okay.
I mean, it's not what we're normally used to 2 miles right up close with the NASA, but they're still being really stingy on credentials and things like that. So I'm like, well, okay, this is second best. Here's the benefits of it.
Yeah.
You have a bathroom right there.
Yes.
You don't have to worry about a porta potty.
Yeah.
You have ample power.
Yep.
And you have decent internet.
Yeah.
So the recipe for a good broadcast is right there.
Yep. Perfect.
So I was like, okay, cool.
We can do this.
Yes, and we had a great time doing it.
Oh, that's great.
Christy decided to go down to the causeway. There's a walkway that leads to Assateague National Park.
Okay.
She wanted a clear view, so she went down there with her still camera and shot pictures down there, absent of all of us. So
okay.
And she had a blast. So.
Oh, that's great. Were there other people when she was down?
There was a couple thousand.
That's what I was going to say.
Out.
There must have been,
The weather was nice, so.
When was the actual launch, Pete?
Saturday at 12:30 in the afternoon.
Okay, great. Oh, that's so. I'm so glad that it all worked out when you because as you said, well, as you found out the last time when you went to Florida, it doesn't always flights. The launches get canceled or postponed.
Yeah, you run into
yeah,
3 days of winter in Florida.
Right. Crummy weather.
3 days of winter.
And you know what? And if you had gone down this weekend, I mean, who knows? I mean, we're in for some weather on Friday, so
right.
Who knows what would have happened down there? So,
right. Well, that's why we build. That's why we build an extra time for this.
Yeah.
Is because we've had occasion where you had a nor'easter up here where you got snow, significant amounts of snow.
Mm-hmm.
We had a lot of wind and rain down there, but they delayed the launch by 4 days because of it.
Yeah.
So you really need to. That's why we came back yesterday. We really need to build in extra time, but because if we do that, we can do other things. And I did some pictures on a railroad that's being ripped up, the former Eastern Shore Railroad. Sounds like it's becoming like a 30-mile bike trail.
Oh, I was going to say like a rail trail kind of thing.
Flat as a board.
Oh, very cool.
So I absconded with some rail spikes. I was going to abscond with a piece of rail, but it's a little heavy.
Right,
even like a foot, like a foot piece like this is about 30 pounds, so 40 pounds.
Yeah.
So it was, So we have some rail spikes from that historic railroad. So
how cool is that?
Yeah, been in operation since the 1850s. So
very neat. Oh, that's really great, Pete.
I like history stuff like that.
I know you do. It's so funny, Pete. I've gotten to the point now where Gary's flipping around on TV, and he'll get into a show, and I'll say, you know what? Pete's watching this, or this is a show that Pete would love. I know he would really get into this.
Yeah, I'd rather watch history and learn from it than watch the news and just go. Yeah, nobody learns from it.
Right? Exactly. Yep. Exactly.
My Lord.
Yeah. No, Gary's really gotten into. He likes a lot of the Discovery stuff too. Animals like the animal kingdom, and living off the grid. That kind of stuff. So it's really fascinating.
On the way down, we listened to a bunch of podcasts, and Mike Rowe has changed his podcast from the Paul Harvey style format.
Yeah.
To like doing long format interviews, and we listened to one with Clint Hill. I don't know if you know that name.
No, I don't know the name.
He was a Secret Service agent that was assigned to Jackie Kennedy on the day of the assassination.
And
served under 5 presidents.
Wow.
And he worked with a writer, but he's written a couple of books now during the pandemic with this writer who's now his wife. About he had never opened up about it. All those agents had never talked about it.
Yeah.
And when he opened up. And they're writing a book. He wrote a book. He served under 5 presidents.
Now, did he serve under 5 presidents
Secret Service
leading up to Kennedy, or starting with Kennedy and then 5 presidents thereafter, or was Kennedy in the middle?
Starting with Ike.
Okay. All right.
And
so Kennedy was kind of in the middle.
Carter.
Okay. Yeah.
So, but he's writing a book right now that's coming out in October about his time with Jackie Kennedy and their time outside of Washington, D.C.
Interesting.
So
Very
it should
interesting.
be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And he said it all resulted from him cleaning out his house. He was selling his house.
Mm-hmm.
He and his wife were talking about it, and they came across a trunk that said Clinton Hill, the White House. And he went through and found all these memories that he had kind of suppressed.
Yes.
over all these years.
Yeah.
And now he's comfortable with it.
Boy, that must have been really interesting. So
was
were
a
you and
great
Kenny
podcast.
in the car listening to that?
Yes.
Wow, that is really fascinating, Pete.
Yeah, and
Super interesting.
Mike Rowe has become friends with him because he saw him in a bar, and he says, this guy's at the bar in front of him.
Get out.
And he hands the bartender a card saying, here's my drink of choice, and here's how to make it.
Oh, my gosh. You got to love it.
So,
oh, my goodness. How cool.
He said, I struck up a conversation. We became friends. He says, I gave a toast at his wedding.
Oh, my gosh.
So,
Very cool.
Mike is a great storyteller. So
yeah.
How
did you find out? Like, how did you get interested or find out about Mike Rowe? Because I know you're a fan.
Dirty Jobs.
Okay.
Then I heard him talk, and he's really big with the technical students.
Okay.
The vocational students.
Okay.
He has a foundation called Micro Works that sponsors these kids to do the national competition that they do, Skills USA.
Yes, yeah.
And he's given them scholarships for other things too. So that's his big foundation because he said we have an employment gap in those fields.
We sure do.
And it's huge.
Yes.
He says because somewhere along the way, these careers got devalued over college, which not every kid is cut out for and or needs.
Exactly. Oh my, I am so
and that is proven year in and year out in the school.
Absolutely.
Especially with the manufacturing, $65,000 a year, aviation, $70,000 a year.
I know.
Computer science kids that don't go on to college can still make a living.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
Yeah. interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I'm really glad. So, did you come back kind of? Did you feel a little rested? Because I know you were working down there too. I was, involved
Yes.
in a meeting, and I know you were still running
yeah.
Zooms and so forth. But
Yeah, somewhat. I got
Yeah.
to sleep in until 8:00 a couple days. Yeah,
yeah,
sure.
there it is. It's that 8:00 in the morning thing.
Take a few
Yahoo!
naps. We
Yeah.
ran around a little bit, but there was some days where I just needed to shut down.
Kind of
and-
chilled out, and
Yeah.
oh, that's great. How long was Christy down there for?
From Thursday to Sunday. I brought her back to the
Wow.
airport on Sunday night.
Well, that was pretty great.
Yeah, she had a shot at 2 launch windows because
Yeah.
she would have made the second one, and then we would have to leave like immediately afterwards. So
Okay. Oh, well, that's great, Pete. Oh, I'm glad. Well, we're glad to have you back. But
Yep.
I have to say, I was kind of glad to have last Wednesday to just sleep in a little bit myself.
Yep.
So that was a good thing. All right, let's do one famous birthday before we take our first break so that everybody knows why I'm playing the song that I'm playing. So it is the birthday. Today's February 23rd. It's the birthday of the late Victor Fleming, who was a film director, cinematographer, and producer. Born on this day in 1889 in Pasadena, California. He died of a heart attack when he was only 59 back in 1949. Victor Fleming served in the photographic section for the United States Army during World War I and acted as chief photographer for President Woodrow Wilson in Versailles, France. Beginning in 1918, Fleming taught at and headed Columbia University's School of Military Cinematography. Who even knew there was such a school?
Okay.
I thought that in and of itself, I thought was really interesting. Military cinematography at Columbia. He trained over 700 soldiers. Are you ready for this, Pete? To cut, edit, shoot, develop, store, and ship film. Who knew? In the military. Victor Fleming entered the movie business, beginning as a camera assistant and working up to cinematographer and eventually director. In 1932, Fleming joined MGM and directed some of the studio's most prestigious films. Red Dust in 1932, Bombshell in 1933, and Reckless in 1935 showcased Jean Harlow. Treasure Island starred Wallace Beery, and Captains Courageous in 1937 featured Spencer Tracy. Victor Fleming's 2 most famous films came in 1939, same year when The Wizard of Oz was closely followed by Gone with the Wind. Not too shabby.
right.
Under his direction, Vivien Leigh won the Best Actress Oscar playing Scarlett O'Hara. Hattie McDaniel won for Best Supporting Actress playing Mammy. That was for both of those were Gone with the Wind. And Olivia de Havilland was nominated for her role in the film as Melanie Hamilton. Fleming owned the Moraga Estate in Bel Air, Los Angeles, California, then a horse ranch. Frequent guests to his estate included Clark Gable, Vivien Leigh, Ingrid Bergman, and Spencer Tracy. So happy birthday to the late Victor Fleming, film director, cinematographer, and producer. I just found that really interesting, Pete, that's how he started, was in the military. Who thinks of, I'm going into the military and I'm doing cinematography? Like that just really surprised
I might
me.
have had I gone into that service.
I know, right? That would have been so perfect for you. What really blew me away was that was back in World War I. I mean, you'd think that now, yeah, but wow. So anyway, I thought that was really kind of interesting. So it is 6:17. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM, radio for the Westfield Masses, and WCPC cable channel 15. So in honor of the birthday of Victor Fleming, we're going to listen to Tara's theme from Gone with the Wind. If you've never seen the movie, it's a classic, and you should watch it. It's just a great flick. So Tara's theme, Gone with the Wind. We'll be back.
Support for community radio on WSKB provided by Westfield Electroplating. Employing over 140 skilled platers, painters, and technicians, Westfield Electroplating was founded in 1946 and was the first company in the country to achieve National Aerospace and Defense Contractor Program accreditation, proudly maintaining that status for over a decade. Westfield Electroplating provides over 50 quality finishes to meet your corrosion, cosmetic, or performance needs. On the web at www.westfieldplating.com or 413-568-3716. Westfield Electroplating, putting the finishing touches on technology.
Join us every Thursday morning
from 6 until at least 7:30.
Check out the Bobby G and Company Show
right here on WSKB 89.5
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB. Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 6:22. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield Masses and WCPC Cable Channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host, and I'm in the studio this morning on this balmy February 23rd with the chairman of the board, producer Pete Coles. Good morning, Pete.
While the weather is nice, I refuse to wear a jacket.
I don't blame you. It's 55 degrees out there this morning.
And we'll have 8 inches of snow on Friday.
I know. It's not going to last, but we're going to enjoy it while we can. And I can't tell you how excited I am that it's this warm, because this morning from 8:45 until 9:15, Mary Lou and I will be curbside outside doing signups for this, believe it or not, for the spring fitness classes. So for the March and April, yes, is that right? Yes, the March and April fitness classes. And, who knew? I mean, we could have scheduled this for Friday and we could have been out there in the snow.
Operationally at the senior center? What phase are you in?
Okay, so thank you for asking that, Pete. So here we are now that the mask mandate has been lifted. So that's been lifted, and Joe Rouse from the Public Health Department also, Joe and I discussed loosening, not eliminating, but we have loosened we've loosened almost all of the room capacity. So what we've done is, we've had room capacities throughout the building, and we still do, but we've upped the number of people per room now. So we kind of went room to room. So what that means is that, we can have a few more people in rooms. We are still doing pre-registrations for almost all of the programs. But it's nice that we have, we can, in the fitness room, we've upped that to 18. That includes the instructor. But before it was only 14. So in a couple instances, we have two, like line dancing, we have 2 instructors. So we could only have 12 and then the 2 instructors. But now we can have 16 plus the 2 instructors. So that really kind of opened things up a little bit. The games room, we reopened that. That was closed temporarily, but we reopened that yesterday, much to the delight of our pool players. And we've also upped the number of people in the games rooms a little, by a few, just by a couple. But it makes a big difference for some of the things that the guys like to do up there. As a reminder, though, the games room is closed on Mondays and Thursdays throughout the month of March and into early April because we are utilizing this space for the AARP tax assistance volunteers. We really need them to be spread out, and that is by the AARP guidelines, the national guidelines for their office, but also as a practical matter because they are doing all the tax returns via telephone. So, we do have folks that are hard of hearing, and so, I can't put the tax volunteers on top of each other with everybody on the phone trying to do tax work. So they are spread out. So the games room is closed on Mondays and Thursdays until tax season is over. So fitness-wise, we are finishing up our January, February, sort of our winter fitness classes. And as I said, we will be curbside this morning for signups for both chair yoga as well as Carol Palmer's Totally Fun Fitness classes. So the new sessions will start the second week in March and will run through the end of April. And and again,
we still need to figure out how we're going to do classes going forward on TV.
Yeah, I know. I really, really want to do that. Like Mary Lou and I were talking about that last week, and
maybe you need to come over next week or something. And
that would be
we'll
great.
Look to figure it out.
Yeah, that would be great because it's really interesting. I was just telling Gary, I can't tell you how many people have continued to tell me that they utilize. I mean, somebody had called us last week. What's going on? Where's the, whichever fitness class was supposed, yoga or whatever was supposed to be on, it's not on. So people are really utilizing that. And
You might
we're
get
so
some calls
happy
about
they are.
Saturday because
Okay.
our launch was during the yoga class, and I just moved it. I put up a crawl.
Okay.
This because I get emails.
Yeah.
I put up a crawl saying I moved it over to channel 12.
Okay.
And that it will re-air right after we're done broadcasting.
Okay.
At this, and I gave the
Well,
time.
that's perfect then. That's perfect. As long as there's some indication on there so they know, kind of what's happening. That's perfect.
But I mean, I get emails about it.
Yeah,
like clockwork.
I'm sure you do. So we are, really happy to have the seniors utilizing that. So we are, we're looking at some new programming that we're going to be starting. So I feel like things are kind of opening
we
up a
turned the
little
corner.
bit. That's what I feel, Pete. I feel like we turned the corner.
If the federal government at the State of the Union says that we're continuing this nonsense, it's going to be bad.
I don't.
It's going to be very
Yeah,
bad.
I
don't see how they can't.
I don't see how they can either. I
There's
think,
indications saying that they are, and
Really?
there's going to be a lot. The truckers are coming.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of pushback. I think at this point it's like, okay, guys, we need to.
I'll talk politics on another-
If Tina Gorman feels like we've moved, we've turned that corner.
I'm
and
just saying.
You know how cautious I've been.
What I think they're doing in Canada is just bad, but that's a whole nother show.
Yeah, right, exactly. A whole other show.
Yeah.
All right. Let's do a birthday. And also I just want to let our listeners and our viewers know that my guest this morning, because it is the 4th Wednesday of the month, which I can't believe it's the 4th Wednesday of the month already.
We plowed through February.
We did. February is a short month, so it goes by really quickly anyway. But Joe Rouse will be on the show. And Joe and I were meeting yesterday. We're going to talk a little bit about our nursing services through the health department because we're super excited about that. But also, Joe has we're going to be talking about food safety, not diet food kind of thing, but food safety, how to, what do those labels mean when it says sell by, use by, that kind of thing. And so forth. So Joe and I are just so excited that we don't have to talk about COVID. We can
Yes.
actually talk about other health concerns and health issues.
Praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord. Here we are. Absolutely.
You'll
All
get my
right.
jazz hands.
Yeah, exactly. I love it. All right. So today, February 23rd, is the birthday of rock bassist and vocalist Steve Priest. He was born on this day in 1948 in England, passed away at the age of 72. He passed away June 4th of 2020, and I tried desperately. I was like, okay, was it COVID? Because, of course, that was really when things were, going crazy. But if it was, they weren't saying. It was an undisclosed diagnosis. But anyway.
That's usually cancer or something like that.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But anyway, in 1968, Steve Priest was invited to form a 4-piece band that was to become The Sweet. The Sweet, sometimes also just shortened to Sweet, is a British glam rock band that rose to worldwide fame in the 1970s. Their best-known lineup consisted of lead vocalist Brian Connolly, bass player Steve Priest, guitarist Andy Scott, and drummer Mick Tucker. The band had its first hit, which was called Funny Funny, in 1971. During 1971 and 1972, Sweet's musical style followed a marked progression from the Archies-like bubblegum style of Funny Funny, think Sugar Sugar from the Archies, to a Who-influenced hard rock style supplemented by a striking use of high-pitched backing vocals. Priest often directly backed up Brian Connolly's vocals and took distinctive short, high-pitched vocal leads, which was a key to their musical style at that time. He adopted a camp image, wearing heavy makeup and outrageous costumes. After Brian Connolly left Sweet in early 1979, Steve Priest became the main singer. This continued until 1982, when the original Sweet disbanded. Hits included Ballroom Blitz, Fox on the Run, and Love is Like Oxygen. So happy birthday to the late Steve Priest. And on that note, let's take our next break. It is 6:31. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM, radio for the Westfield masses, and WCPC cable channel 15. So this is going to be like your wake-up song, because we're going to listen to Steve Priest and the Sweet singing Ballroom Blitz. We'll be back.
so hard living with the things you do to me. Oh, my things are getting so strange. I'd like to tell you everything I see.
Oh, I see a man at the back. As a matter of fact, his eyes are as red as the sun. And the girl in the corner, let no one ignore her, 'cause she thinks she's the passionate one.
Oh, yeah, it was like lightning. Everybody was frightening, and the music was soothing, and they all started grooving. And the man at the back said, everyone attack, and it turned into a ballroom blitz. And the girl in the corner said, boy, I wanna want you, it'll turn into a ballroom blitz. Ballroom blitz. Ballroom blitz. Ballroom blitz. Ballroom blitz. Reaching out for something, touching nothing's all I ever do. Oh, I softly call you over when you feel there's nothing left in you.
Now the man at the back is ready to crack as he raises his hands to the sky. And the girl in the corner is everyone's corner. She could kill you with a wink of her eye.
Oh, yeah, it was electric, so frantically hectic, and the band started leaving, 'cause they all stopped breathing. And the man at the back said, everyone attack, and it turned into a ballroom blitz. And the girl in the corner said, boy, I wanna want you, it'll turn into a ballroom blitz. Ballroom blitz. Oh, yeah, it was like lightning. Everybody was frightening, and the music was soothing, and they all started grooving. And the man at the back said, everyone attack, and it turned into a ballroom blitz. And the girl in the corner said, boy, I wanna want you, it'll turn into a ballroom blitz. Ballroom blitz. Ballroom blitz. Ballroom blitz. Ballroom blitz. It's the ballroom blitz. It's the ballroom blitz. It's the ballroom blitz. Yeah, it's the ballroom blitz.
Support for community radio on WSKB is provided by Betts Plumbing and Heating Supply Company, an independent, family-owned wholesaler serving Westfield for over 50 years, specializing in plumbing, heating, and industrial piping supplies. On the web at bettsplumbing.com or at 14 Coleman Avenue in Westfield.
Hi, this is Harry Rock, host of Rock on Westfield every fourth Wednesday at 8 a.m. Tune in for my view of this place I call home.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB. Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 at 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 6:36. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM, radio for the Westfield masses, and WCPC Cable Channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host, and I'm in the studio this morning with the chairman of the board, producer Pete Coles. Good morning again, Pete.
Good morning.
So, Pete, what do we know kind of what we're getting on Friday, other than some schnecky weather out there?
5 to 8.
Is that what? Wow. You know, I keep hearing something different. I feel like every time
I've looked, and originally it was rain a couple of days ago.
And then they said around 3, and then...
Yeah, they were talking 5 inch an hour during the day on Friday.
Okay, all right.
I may be conducting my, thank God I did my job interviews on Zoom. like I'm going to be interviewing for the part-time pool position to cover meetings and stuff.
Okay.
I suggested that we do them all on Zoom, and it was prophetic because it's going to be
good idea. Yeah, good
snowing.
idea. I know, and I was talking to one of the card players yesterday who came over because, I had sent a letter out to all the games room participants letting them know that while we were closed, while the games room was closed, we had done some upgrades. And of course, they all, wanted to know what they were, and I wasn't going to tell them. I said, well, it's a surprise, but you should all be happy.
Yeah.
So anyway, one of the card players came yesterday to scope it out so that he could take photos and, send that out to the other card players to know that I really did make some changes. And what I want to say, first of all, is thank you to the Friends of the Westfield Senior Center who funded those changes. So for the card players, for those of you who didn't see the photos, you have a brand new extra large card table because, I've got like 11 of them that were practically sitting on each other's lap up there because, they were all crowded around one table. And so we have a much larger card table for them. And for the pool players, I had all the pool tables, checked out and serviced. And we have brand new pool pockets in table number 1. That was the oldest of the pool tables. So I'm trying to make both the card players and the pool players happy. Not that is ever really going to happen, but, we continue to work on that.
By the way, Harry Rock is talking Kiwanis auction this morning.
Oh, that's always fun.
With Leslie Lambert.
Leslie Lambert?
And outgoing president Alex Kachadorian.
Okay, don't know how to pronounce that last name.
Kachadorian.
Leslie Lambert, by the way, is now working for the schools. Did you know that?
No.
Realtor Leslie Lambert, yeah.
Full time?
I apparently so. You can ask her.
Or is she a mentor?
No. She took Matt Garlow's place.
Matt Garlow already left?
Apparently so. Unbeknownst to me, either that or he's doing something else for the schools because she's now doing the VIPS program, among other things. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. So, and she's already placed one of my tax work-off volunteers on the job a week. And so I was really pretty happy about that. But anyway, yeah, so new role. And I haven't had a chance to talk to Leslie about it because I didn't find out about it until last week. So anyway, congratulations to her. Yeah, I'm not sure if Matt is doing something else, but yeah.
Looked on LinkedIn. He's an account manager for the 617 Media Group.
Okay, well, there you go. So I guess Matt did leave. Easy come, easy go, I guess, right? Okay, so listen, we are working our way through speaking of the Friends group, by the way, and my thanks to them for funding my upgrades in the games room. We are working our way through the February calendar, our raffle calendar, if you recall. We were selling tickets for that.
I still didn't win anything, did I?
Not yet, but, there are still 1, 2, 3, there's still 5 days,
I am
5 opportunities.
Unlucky at contests and the such.
Well, I will announce today's winner is just one of our favorite people who's been coming through the lunch line for a year. His name is Richard Curran, but his nickname is Cracker, so it's Cracker Curran.
Oh, I know Cracker.
Do you know Cracker? Well,
I worked with him for years at the police department.
You did?
Oh, yeah.
No, I think there are two.
Cracker's
Cracker?
Yeah, that's from the police department.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Anyway.
Really tall. Probably still drives a pickup.
I don't know. No, he drives a van, a white van. I think there are 2 of them. I think there's a different. Somehow, they're related though, because this came out. But anyway, he won a $25 gift card to CVS Pharmacy. He's been coming through the lunch line like every day since COVID hit.
I think those are all Tommy's brothers. Yeah.
No, this Cracker is not Tommy's brother.
Oh, okay.
He's old. He's in his late 80s.
Yeah.
So, yeah, would be.
Tommy just retired.
Well, I know, but still.
Tommy's in his 60s. His brother's in his 70s.
All right. Well, we'll find out. We will.
I would ask.
Oh, you know what? I'm going to ask him when he comes through the line today. How are you? If you're related. But somehow I thought that Mary Lou researched this, and they're not. But we're going to find out. I'll report back next week. Okay, so that's my winner, just so you know that we have people winning. What I love, Pete, is I put the winner's name on a sign on my lunch cart, so it's so that everybody knows it's legit and somebody's winning every day. But what I really love is when it's one of the lunch people that is the winner. I don't call them in advance and tell them, but when they drive up, there it is. They see their name and then they get all excited. You see their face change. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm today's winner, and it's really fun. So that's what's going to happen to Cracker unless he's watching this show and he finds out. All right, let's do another birthday. Today is the birthday of soul singer Larry Demps. Born on this day in 1949 in Detroit, Michigan. He's 73 years old today. Larry Demps was a founding member of the soul music vocal group The Dramatics, which was formed in 1964. The other original members of the group included Ron Banks, Rod Davis, Elbert Wilkins, and Larry Reed. They were originally known as the Sensations, but changed their billing to the Dramatics in 1965. The group is best known for its 1970s hit songs In the Rain and What You See Is What You Get, both of which were top 10 pop hits. Throughout the 1970s, the group continued to have a string of rhythm and blues successful songs. Hey You, Get Off My Mountain was number 5 on the R&B charts. Me and Mrs. Jones, number 4, originally recorded by Billy Paul 3 years earlier. Be My Girl, number 3 on the R&B charts, and Shake It Well, number 4 on the R&B charts. In the Rain also reached number 5 on the Hot 100 Pop chart and was the group's second million seller. Their later 1993 collaboration, Doggy Dog World with Snoop Dogg, was a top 20 hit on the Billboard Rhythmic Top 40. The Dramatics were officially inducted into the R&B Music Hall of Fame on August 17th, 2013. And what I loved about the Dramatics, they were just so smooth to listen to. Well, we're going to play one of their songs in just a minute, but just really easy to listen to. Some of those R&B singers just have great voices. So, all right, let's do one more birthday before we take our next break. This one was really interesting. It is the birthday of the late W.E.B. Du Bois. He was a civil rights activist born on this date in 1868, and I absolutely had to do him, not just because I was really interested and I wanted to learn a little bit more about Du Bois' background.
Wasn't he also an author?
He was.
I do remember reading a book in high school.
Yeah. He was. And also, which I didn't know, he was born in Great Barrington, Massachusetts. So Western Mass. I thought, talk about him. He passed away in 1963. He was 95 years old. So he was, lived a ripe old age. So his real name was William Edward Burghardt Du Bois, better known as W.E.B. Du Bois. He was an influential African-American civil rights activist during the early 20th century. While growing up in a mostly white American town, here it is, Great Barrington, Massachusetts, Du Bois identified himself as mulatto, but freely attended school with white people and was enthusiastically supported in his academic studies by his white teachers. In 1885, he moved to Nashville, Tennessee to attend Fisk University. It was there that he first encountered Jim Crow laws and American racism. After earning his bachelor's degree at Fisk, Du Bois entered Harvard University. He paid his way with money from summer jobs, scholarships, and loans from friends. After completing his master's degree, he was selected for a study abroad program at the University of Berlin. While a pupil in Germany, he studied with some of the most prominent social scientists of his day and was exposed to political perspectives that he touted for the remainder of his life. In 1895, Du Bois became the first African American to earn a PhD from Harvard University. His landmark study, the first case study of an African American community, entitled The Philadelphia Negro, A Social Study, he did that in 1899, marked the beginning, here you go, Pete, of his expansive writing career. While working as a professor at Atlanta University, Du Bois rose to national prominence when he very publicly opposed Booker T. Washington's, you're going to love this, Pete, because we were just talking about this, when he very publicly opposed Booker T. Washington's Atlanta Compromise, an agreement that asserted that vocational education for Black people was more valuable to them than social advantages like higher education or political office.
Yeah.
Du Bois criticized Washington for not demanding full equality for African Americans as granted by the 14th Amendment. Du Bois subsequently became a spokesperson for full and equal rights in every realm of a person's life. In 1909, Du Bois co-founded the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, the NAACP, and served as editor of its monthly magazine, The Crisis. He died on August 27th, 1963, one day before Martin Luther King Jr. delivered his I Have a Dream speech at the March on Washington. So kind of a cool, bio on the late W.E. Du Bois, civil rights activist, born right here in Great Barrington, Massachusetts, which I thought was really pretty interesting. All right, it is 6:47. You're listening to WSKB, 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses and WCPC cable channel 15. We are going to listen to, in honor of the birthday of Larry Demps, we're going to listen to the Dramatics singing What You See Is What You Get, and it is smooth.
And you know some people are made of wood. Some people have hearts of stone. Some people are up to no good. But baby, I'm for real. I'm as real as a real can get. If what you're looking for is real loving, then what you see is what you get. Ha! What you see is what you get. Is what you get. What you see is what you get. Is what you get. I said what you see is what you get, nothing. Is what you get. And real thing is the best thing yet. The best thing yet. You know some people are made alive to bring you down and shame your name. But baby, I have good intentions. Because a breaking heart just ain't my game. All I want to do is love you. And sugar, I won't feel with regret. No. If what you're looking for is real loving, then what you see is what you get. I got to say it again. What you see is what you get. Is what you get. Look at me. What you see is what you get. Is what you get. I mean, what you see is what you get, nothing. Is what you get. And the real thing is the best thing yet. The best thing yet. What you see is what you get. I got a real love. You're gonna get it. I got a real. You got it. What you see, baby, is what you get. Is what you get. Look at me now. What you see is what you get. Is what you get. Got to say it now. What you see is what you get. Is what you get.
Underwriting for Community Radio on WSKB is brought to you in part by Rockies. Over 30 convenient locations throughout Massachusetts, Rhode Island, New Hampshire, Connecticut, and Florida. One of the nation's largest ACE dealers. Expertise and great product selection in paint, hardware, lawn and garden. That's Rockies. Rock solid service since 1926. On the web at rockies.com.
This is Ken Stomsky from Ken's Den on WCPC 15 and 89.5 FM, Tuesdays, 8 to 10.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB. Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 6:51. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses and WCPC cable channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host. I'm in the studio this morning with the chairman of the board, producer Pete Coles. So, Pete, today, February 23rd, and I had every intention of celebrating this day with everyone here.
Okay.
But it's National Banana Bread Day. So I had bananas at home,
Yes.
long weekend, the whole thing. And I thought, I'm going to make a couple of loaves of bread. I can bring them in. However, I had a deadline on my newsletter, which is coming out on Saturday, and the games room was completely pulled apart and dismantled. And I was still catching up because Alex Hibbert, our building maintenance craftsman, was on he was on his honeymoon last week. The nerve of him to think he can take a honeymoon. So, trash was spilling over. So there were things that absolutely had to get done. And additionally, so my daughter and her boyfriend got this house now in West Springfield, which is being totally renovated by them, mostly her boyfriend Isaac, who does that for a living. And so I had said to Grace a few weeks ago, well, I'd like to help. What can I do? And Grace said, oh, okay, that'd be great. She goes, Mom, can you clean the oven? And I said, oh, of course, that's sure. Until I opened the oven, Pete, and realized that I don't think this oven has been cleaned since 1962. I mean, it was unbelievable. So believe it or not, this was like a 2-week process. So I start, and it's not a self-cleaning. My brother said, isn't it self-cleaning? I said, no.
It's too old.
No, it's too old. Exactly. So, and the house at one time had been a rental, and people who are renting house, they don't clean ovens. It's like, oh, that'll be for the next tenant that comes in. So it took me, a couple weeks ago, I, sprayed it and did round 1. Gary was with me, and Gary goes, oh my God, this is going to be forever. So this past weekend, I sprayed it on Saturday, let it sit until Monday, and thinking, and I was there for hours. I mean, Isaac was there, tearing down walls and, things like that, and I'm there scrubbing.
You can pick up a house really cheap if you put in the equity to sweat.
Oh, yeah.
To really renovate it.
Yeah. Yep. Believe it or not, this, for right now, I mean, houses, most people are paying above the asking price, and believe it or not, this house was negotiated down.
Do you know how many abandoned houses we saw in Virginia?
Oh my gosh, really?
The farm country, abandoned, falling down.
Oh, that's so, that's sad.
But there's a lot of farms that have gone under, down there.
Yeah.
But that's like the chicken farming capital of the world out there.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I went to school in Virginia. Gary and I went to James Madison University.
By the way,
so yeah.
Health update on Bobby Goff. He's going to do a show on Thursday.
I actually was going to ask you because you had played his little info thing the other day, whatever that's called, the last hour, and I was going to ask you how he was doing, and then I was afraid because I thought, oh, maybe he's, but good.
First, he's going to do it virtually because he's not ready to quite leave the house yet, but we're going to do a show on Thursday.
Good. Excellent. Awesome. All right, well, let's talk about this National Banana Bread Day, even though I didn't have a chance to make any bananas, although now I could in Grace's clean oven because it looks like it's brand new. Just saying. It was really funny because Grace said that Isaac's dad came over to help with some of the electrical stuff after I was there all morning, and he came in the afternoon, and Grace said, Mom, Tom could not stop talking about the oven and how it looks like it's brand new because he saw the before. So, all right. So February 23rd annually recognizes a well-known food holiday, National Banana Bread Day. But there's some really interesting history to this, which is why I wanted to talk about it. Bakers know that to make sweet and delicious banana bread, they need to use fully ripe mashed bananas. The resulting quick bread is moist and almost cake-like. And while some recipes call for yeast, most do not. It's a quick bread. Either way, the finished product makes a tasty sliced snack. Toast it and add a little butter for an even more satisfying treat. So in the 1930s, baking soda and baking powder made banana bread and other quick breads standard features in American cookbooks. Pillsbury's included banana bread recipes in its 1933 Balanced Recipes cookbook. The release of Chiquita Banana's recipe book in 1950 further secured the banana bread's acceptance. Surprisingly, bananas first made their appearance in the United States in 1870. For a long time, Americans saw the tropical fruit as merely that, a fruit, not an ingredient. It would take a few decades before they started seeing the banana's potential. One early recipe came from the Vienna Model Bakery. It advertised banana bread as something new in the April 21st, 1893 edition of the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, a new restaurant/bakery chain owned by Gaff, Fleischman and Company. recognize that name. The Vienna Model Bakery was known for its baked goods and was likely one of the first to produce banana bread in the United States. The recipe was made with banana flour made by drying strips of the fruit and then grinding it into a powder. This process had long been used in the West Indies. I thought this was interesting. In Hawaii during World War I, a surplus of bananas resulted from very few ships available to export the fruit. So they had all these bananas growing in Hawaii and they couldn't export them out. So to prevent waste, alternative uses for bananas were developed. For example, bakeries started incorporating the fruit into their bread. This recipe was printed in the Maui News on April 12, 1918 for banana bread. How simple is this? 2/3 of a cup bananas, 1/3 of a cup flour, yeast, coconut milk, or water. There you go. Throw it together and you got banana bread. There was also rationing of staple foods such as flour, and banana flour was a suggested substitute. It was touted as a health food and recommended for a vegetarian diet. In 1927, Unifruit, which was a wholesale produce company, offered a free cookbook called From the Tropics to Your Table. The book offered recipes full of bananas as ingredients, including banana muffins and breads. This little cookbook would have been handy during the Great Depression, which was just around the corner. At the time, families utilized every scrap of food, including overripe bananas. They cooked overripe bananas and other fruits and vegetables into breads, stews, and other dishes when flavor and texture were not as appealing raw. So here are a few questions and answers about bananas, and I learned something. So, number 1, question, can banana bread be frozen? Well, yes, it can. Just wrap it well and place it in a freezer-safe container, and it should keep for at least 3 months. So if you can make it, and you can freeze it for sure. This is one that I did not know. My bananas aren't ripe enough for banana bread. What can I do? Well, you don't have to wait like a week for them to ripen up. Poke holes into the peel using a fork. Place in a 300-degree oven for 15 to 20 minutes, and the bananas should soften. And here's what I did for question number 3, because I had the overripe bananas, but I didn't have time to make the bread, so that's going to come in the next week or two. My bananas are very ripe, but I don't have time to bake banana bread this week. What can I do? Freeze them in their skins. When you're ready to bake the bread, let them come to room temperature, and the bananas will slide right out of their skins and into your mixing bowl. So I did that. I froze them. So in a couple of weeks, I'll tell you how successful I was, and if in fact they really do slide right into the mixing bowl. So.
By the way, you're not going to be happy with me, but there's the forecast.
Oh, my.
We're in the 8 to 12 block.
Well, you know what? Actually, Pete, I'm really glad that you brought that up, because I just want to remind folks, we haven't really had to deal too much with closing the center because of inclement weather. And this week, of course, the kids are off from school. So normally if the kids are, if they get a snow day, the senior center is closed to the public and the staff is there answering the phones. On school vacation week, I always have to make the call myself. And I can tell you right now, if we truly are getting 8 to 12, and if that forecast stays, we will be closed.
I looked at the Weather Underground, and it's 1 inch per hour almost all day long.
Yeah. So you can bet for sure that we will not be open on Friday. I will tell you this, we already made the decision yesterday that tomorrow on Thursday we will be doing 2 meals, Thursday's and Friday's meal.
Smart.
Tomorrow is meatloaf, which is, ever popular. And then Friday is George's homemade pizza, which is also equally as popular. So we will be taking orders tomorrow morning. When you call in, you can call in and order either Thursday's meal or Friday's meal or both meals. And we will probably sneak you through the parking lot Thursday, because I have a feeling it's gonna be a wild and crazy day.
Thank you to the superintendent for turning me on to that graphic. He had posted on his page and going, "Thank you, no."
Yeah. Well, thank you. That's perfect, Pete. Thank you so much. So that also means, gang, and I know my bingo players will be disappointed, because this Friday would have been gift card bingo sponsored by Elm Electric, but I do promise that closing on Friday, and again, I'm 99.9% sure that we'll do gift card bingo next Friday, because I think we also missed it last month. So this one was a postponement from last month, so we will do that. Also, my side-by-side support group will obviously be be canceled, but I will be calling everyone and I'll just check in on everybody. We'll do it one at a time, so not to worry, folks. All right, we have one more birthday to do. We'll do that after our top of the hour break. It is 7:01. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM, radio for the Westfield Masses, and WCPC Cable Channel 15. We'll be back.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Westfield Bank. For more than 160 years, Westfield Bank has been an important community presence and commercial leader in the Pioneer Valley, with convenient full banking services in Westfield, West Springfield, East Longmeadow, Agawam, Feeding Hills, Springfield, Southwick, as well as Enfield and Granby, Connecticut. Visit us on the web at westfieldbank.org. Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 at 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 7:04. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM, radio for the Westfield Masses, and WCPC Cable Channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host, and I'm in the studio this morning on this very, very warm and balmy, really nice day out there.
Oh, Mother Nature will get back at us in a minute.
I know, but you know what? We're just going to enjoy this while we can because, we're in New England, and it changes by the, practically by the hour. And I guess it is really going to drop to like 20 tonight.
Yeah.
So but during the day, it's going to be in the, believe it or not, in the 60s.
Yes.
So that voice you hear is Pete Coles. And so Pete, we have one more birthday to do, which this one, I thought you'd find this really fascinating because you're kind of, like a geeky kind of guy. So it is the birthday of Michael Dell, entrepreneur born on this day in 1965 in Houston, Texas. He's 57 years old, so think Dell Computers.
Yes.
But this guy has such an interesting background. So Michael Dell purchased his first calculator at age 7. At age 15, after playing with computers at Radio Shack, he got his first computer, which was an Apple II, which he promptly disassembled to see how it worked. Who does this? He attended Memorial High. I mean, this is hysterical. He attended Memorial High School in Houston, selling subscriptions to the Houston Post in the summer. His parents wanted him to be a doctor, so to please his parents, he took up pre-med at the University of Texas in 1983. Michael Dell learned to target specific populations for newspaper subscriptions rather than just making cold calls, and he earned $18,000 that summer. While a freshman pre-med student at the University of Texas, Dell started an informal business putting together and selling upgrade kits for personal computers in his dorm room. He then applied for a vendor license to bid on contracts for the state of Texas, winning bids by not having the overhead of a computer store. He hired several employees, and after earning a gross profit of nearly $200,000 in his first year of business, Dell dropped out of the University of Texas at the age of 19. He banked on his conviction that the potential cost savings of a manufacturer selling PCs directly had enormous advantages over the conventional indirect retail channel. In January 1984, Dell registered his company as PCs Limited. Operating out of a condominium, the business sold between $50,000 and $80,000 worth of PC upgrades, kits, and add-on components. In May, Dell incorporated the company as Dell Computer Corporation and relocated to a business center in North Austin. The company employed a few people as order takers, a few more to fill the orders, and as Michael Dell recalled, a manufacturing staff consisting of 3 guys with screwdrivers sitting at 6-foot tables.
There you go.
I love this story. In 1992, at the age of 27, Michael Dell became the youngest CEO of a company ranked in Fortune magazine's list of the top 500 corporations. In 1996, he started selling computers over the web, the same year his company launched its first servers. In the first quarter of 2001, Dell Inc. reached a world market share of 12.8%, surpassing Compaq to become the world's largest PC maker. So happy 57th birthday to Michael Dell. I mean, the guy is... He's also a philanthropist, which is really nice. So, he is sharing a lot of that wealth, out in the community, especially in the state of Texas. There's a lot of, foundations and so forth. So happy 57th birthday. But what a great story. That thing about he bought a computer and then promptly took it apart to see how it worked.
I've done that before.
I know you geek people are, you're all cut from the same mold. It's just amazing. All right, so a couple of announcements, and then we'll get Joe Rouse on here because it's almost time for him. The March Voice of Experience newsletter will hit the streets on Saturday. So give me a little bit of time on probably Saturday afternoon. I'll have it out in the bin next to the front door of the Senior Center, so you can get it that way. If you have a subscription to the Republican and the Westfield News, you will get it in your subscription. Otherwise, it'll officially hit the streets by my staff, delivering it all over the place on Monday. So that's how you can get it. And also, of course, it will be online, and we'll try to get it up online. I usually get it up online. I work with the tech department, so thank you to Kevin Berrien for that. We usually have it up online by Monday noontime. We'll try to get it up a little earlier because of the impending snowstorm and, people not being able to get out. As I said before, the side-by-side support group for this Friday, I think, will be canceled, and I will check in with everybody. I do want to remind folks that on Wednesday afternoons, we have a group at the Senior Center. They meet up in the multi-purpose room, and they play Mahjong. And if you've never played, they're certainly willing to teach you, but they're really looking for more members. So we're kind of, I told them that I would make that announcement. And additionally, the Whip City Travelers Group is kind of re-upping, they're starting to plan some day trips. The ones that they have scheduled for the spring are just up at the Delaney House. They're self-drive trips, but you can get your tickets. A lot of them are tributes. One is a tribute concert for ABBA. I can't remember what the other 2 tribute concerts are. And it includes lunch. It's kind of a nice little outing, fairly local, and, just a good way to, as Pete and I were saying before, things are kind of, we feel like we've turned a corner. Things are starting to open up a little bit, and we're feeling more positive. Spring is coming. So lots of good things to look forward to, folks. So give us a call if you're interested. The Whip City Travelers office is located. It's a separate entity. It's not under the Senior Center umbrella, but their office is housed at the Senior Center. They are taking calls for if you'd like to register. The trips will be listed. The trips that I just talked about up at the Delaney House will be in the March Voice of Experience newsletter on page 6. So please, feel free to get a copy and give the travel office is open now on Mondays and Fridays from 9 to 12. And of course, this Friday they won't be, probably because of the snow, but other than that. All right, it is 7:11. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM, radio for the Westfield Masses, and WCPC Cable Channel 15. My guest is waiting in the wings. It is Joe Rouse from the Health Department. So we are going to welcome Joe with his theme song called Good to Be Alive, Hallelujah by Andy Grammer. We'll be back.
Just climbing this rope right here. And if there's a man upstairs, he kept bringing me rain. But I've been sending up prayers and something's changed. I think I finally found my hallelujah. I've been waiting for this moment all my life now. All my dreams are coming true, yeah. I've been waiting for this moment. It's good to be alive right about now. Now.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Dunkin' Donut Shops of Westfield and the Sardinia family. It's nice to know that even as the world changes, Dunkin' Coffee remains the same at 7 convenient locations throughout Westfield.
Hi, this is Harry Rock, host of Rock on Westfield every fourth Wednesday at 8 a.m. Tune in for my view of this place I call home.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB. Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 7:15. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM, radio for the Westfield Masses, and WCPC Cable Channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host. I just realized I look like a lumberjack today, but Joe's on vacation, so I figured I could just kind of like be casual.
Right, this is my vacation show.
I know.
Looks
Joe's
like
got
I
his
just got back from Arizona. Or
It
something.
does.
Mesa,
really does.
anyone?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I wish.
So all the voices that you're hearing, we have Pete Coles behind the controls, our producer back there, and my guest, because it's the fourth Wednesday of the month, is Joe Rouse, Director of Public Health for the City of Westfield. So Joe's on vacation this week. So thank you for coming in and doing the show, even though you're on vacation, because we're so happy to have you.
Yeah.
I can't believe it. I said to Pete, I feel like Joe was just on my show. Gary says that to me all the time. He's like, wasn't Joe just on last week? And I said, no, but February flew. I mean, it's a short month, and it really flew.
Yeah, you
so.
surprised me when you sent the reminder. I went, what? Wait,
I know,
already...
and I did that on purpose because I knew Evelyn had told me that you were on vacation and we were going to be meeting yesterday, and she said, Joe's going to come in anyway, and I thought, oh boy, I hope I hope he didn't forget. So I thought, better remind him. But here we are.
I heard you talking about bananas.
Yeah, so it's National Banana Bread Day. So I had all these really great intentions about making a couple loaves because I thought, we can have some here, and then Harry Rock's coming in, and then I'll have some, at the senior center. And no, that wasn't happening because, it was a 3-day weekend for the rest of the world, I suppose. But and this was even worse than what I usually do, because usually on a regular weekend, I've really been working hard to just take one day and not go in. But it was a 3-day weekend, and I didn't make that goal at all. I was in there all 3 days because I had the newsletter that I had a deadline for. I still have 2 grants that I haven't even started. Those are going to get started this afternoon. And I had the games room to put all back together. And Alex was out on his honeymoon,
right.
Like the nerve.
So
I know. It's like, the place was, really kind of falling apart. So, a lot of setup and cleanup and that kind of stuff. So anyway, I did not get to make my banana bread. However, we did this little question and answer thing, and I found out, because I had 4 really overripe bananas, and I thought, this is perfect. It's perfect timing.
Yep.
But then I found out I can just freeze them. I just threw them in the freezer in the skins. And I said to my husband and Grace, my daughter, I said, okay, I'm throwing these bananas in the freezer on purpose, because I had visions of them opening up the freezer and go, okay, Mom's really losing it. Instead of putting the bananas back in the basket, she accidentally put them in the freezer. I said, nope, I did that on purpose. So
good call to cover yourself. And when I heard you talking about it, I said, I wonder if you've read the same thing that I have about the right way to peel a banana.
No, I did not read that.
Well, listen to this.
Okay.
All right. So
enlighten us.
You hold it the stem side down.
Okay.
And so what you would think would be the bottom of the banana, you pinch the top of it with your fingers until it kind of cracks.
Okay.
And then you peel it that way. And it's actually way easier to do it like that than the way that people normally do it.
Okay.
And then you have a nice little handle with the stem. And if you ever watch a monkey in the wild peel a banana, that's how they do it.
So say that again. So you take the banana by what would be the top or the bottom?
So it would be the stem side down.
Okay.
So what you think is usually where you peel it.
Right. The top is going to be on the bottom.
Right.
Okay. Now you're holding it this way or sideways?
You hold it so the bottom's up, and then you pinch the very end of the bottom.
Okay.
And it'll make the peel separate, and then it's
no kidding. All right, I'm going to try that because I have banana. I have a banana. I have banana today. I have bananas every day because that's like part of my staple for lunch: bananas and cottage cheese. So I'm going to try that.
It works great.
I am going to try that because I have a hard time peeling them, and a lot of times I have to use a knife to cut the thing and do it that way. I'm going to try it, Joe.
No more messy fumbling.
I will report back next week.
If I get no other message out today, I'm happy and pleased with that.
I know we've already learned something new, and it's you've been on for like 3 minutes.
Yeah, see, that's why I'm here.
I know. To impart those words of wisdom and those all that health stuff.
Right.
Okay, so let's talk about some really fun stuff like our new nurse that we have who we love at the senior center. And we're learning more about her. So her name is Evelyn Bristol, and Evelyn is a gift from the health department.
That's
so talk to our viewing audience a little bit about how all this happened.
So it really just happened from me being over at the senior center, and I was talking to you, and we were kind of walking through the place into, I think you were showing me like a supply area or something.
Yep, the medical supply room.
And I walked by and I saw this sign on the door that said nurse's office.
Yeah,
and
wellness center.
Yeah,
what's
whatever.
that all about?
Do you have a nurse? And you said, no, not right now. We used to, and it was a grant thing or a part-time.
Yep.
And I went, oh my gosh. And at that time, I actually had been thinking about reaching out more, branching out to get nursing services into the community. What a perfect opportunity. So
yeah, I opened up that door and your eyes just lit up because it was
mean,
like a real office. I mean, it wasn't just like a little closet.
No, it was all set up,
beautiful.
ready to go. And I actually pictured her sitting in that chair as the first time I walked in there, because she is great one-on-one with people.
She is.
And she has an infectious disease background, so she's worked at hospitals and she worked in our department doing public health nursing. So it was the perfect timing to. What I didn't know was how she was going to be receptive to that or not.
Yeah,
like it's almost like I.
And originally, you weren't targeting Evelyn per se. Originally, It was kind of like, well, let's do this idea and let's get a nurse from here over here, and then kind of threw that out, I guess, for your staff.
And as everything does with the city, it took some time, but we finally got her over there, and she loves it. And it's just the perfect environment for her. But she was a little hesitant in the beginning, like, why are you kicking me out of City Hall?
Yeah.
You know, what did I do wrong?
Yeah,
I asked the same question when I got banished over here, but you know.
Well, there's an answer for that, though, Pete. In
I
her
know.
case, there wasn't. Oh, funny.
Yeah.
So, and then it really was the intention for her to be there to provide services for the seniors.
Yeah.
Kind of on the same sort of part-time basis, and still do health department nursing stuff too. But when we met yesterday, I mentioned that there's too much of a disconnect between City Hall and what she does for the health department, that I think her services would be better off spent senior care wellness nurse full-time.
Yeah, which is
Yeah.
so awesome
Yeah,
for
so-
us, because now we met yesterday and have some ideas about how we can really utilize her talents, and it was really ironic that we did. Poor Evelyn started, I think she moved over either like on a Monday or a Tuesday, and by Thursday we had already called 911 once.
Yep.
And that was in the morning, first thing in the morning, because it was through one of our early morning fitness classes, and then in the afternoon had another medical crisis. So she had two in one day, and the whole time Mary Lou and I are going, this isn't normal. This doesn't usually happen. I mean, yeah, we've called 911, but I mean, two in a day. Yeah, we've had like 4 medical kind of emergencies where we really needed her expertise. And I said, it's like, we're just kind of throwing you into this, Evelyn. But, and I found out because my husband visits periodically, because he does some volunteer work for us and takes a meal weekly to one of our seniors. So he was visiting, and he and Evelyn struck up a conversation. She didn't know that Gary was a chiropractor, so they kind of got into that, and she was asking him some questions. And it turns out, I didn't realize she is an avid cyclist. Yep. She does a lot of cycling, and so does Gary. So, that was like, I walked away from that. I said, all right, you guys are going to be talking about this for the next 20 minutes, and I have a newsletter to get out. So, but anyway, yeah, so we're, it's kind of fun having it's like a new staff person there that we're getting to know and learn a little bit about her background and so forth. And I know she was sharing some nutritional, information with some of my staff, and so she has an interest in that as well. So
yeah, that was a home run. She's a perfect fit there. So,
yeah.
And really, when you think about all the things that we do behind the scenes in the health department with mostly infectious disease, reportable diseases, and everybody knows now because of COVID, that's a big part of what we do. But to be able to be more proactive and provide those preventative services to people, and that's perfect place to do it.
Yeah, it absolutely is, and we are so all about that. We're always saying you want to be proactive, not reactive, which was why in dealing with some of the mandates and things like that. We're trying to be proactive. We don't want people to get sick and then have to get treated. We're really trying to to do this so that we're smart and trying to keep people as safe as possible. So. But I have to say, everyone is pretty excited that the mask mandate has been lifted, and they have we have really stressed to everyone and have a sign out in front of the senior center. do what you are most comfortable with. And some are most comfortable, including my staff members. Some are still most comfortable, or some are most comfortable with, having their mask on when they're kind of out in the hall and about. And then once they settle into whatever they're doing, especially if it's a sedentary thing, because we still have the furniture kind of, placed so that people have some space. They have some personal space. So, and sometimes people are like, okay, now I can kind of lower it. And then when I'm out and about mingling, I'll put it back on. We do have, room capacities. I had to explain to someone yesterday, who wants to know, where's this written at the Board of Health? I said, it was 2 department heads on the telephone using common sense, because I work with a very vulnerable population. It's, there are seniors, a lot of comorbidities. People have a lot of other problems. We're trying to keep them safe. I said it was 2 department heads on the phone saying, what would be logical here? Yep, we can loosen up these room capacities a little bit, add a few more people, and then, in a month or so, we'll revisit, see where we are. So that seemed to satisfy the person. He was, I think, looking for some written something, I don't know, on the city website or something.
Yeah,
like
you
that.
can't just go back into it the way it was.
Right.
You have to phase things in, and we learned that lesson the first time.
Yeah.
So if you remember back in last year, I don't know, I lose track
I
of
know,
time now.
I
It's
know.
all a blur.
I know.
But the governor had stated through his health advisory council that we had these 4 phases or stages or whatever.
Yep.
And when we got to like phase 4 or step 4, phase 2 or whatever, that was when everything was going to be rescinded and no more. Everybody go back and do what you did. And so there was no phasing back in of it. I mean, other than that plan itself. But when we got to that 4, everything went away. Everybody started to do whatever they wanted again. And then here we go again.
Yep. What hit the fan, and that was all she wrote.
I know. So that only makes common sense.
And we did the same thing, Joe. We back in August, we were like, okay, time to open up the dining room. So we thought, okay, we're going to open this up 4 days a week. It lasted 2 weeks.
Yep.
We opened it up 4 days a week, lasted 2 weeks, and then right back to where we started. So people have been asking me, well, when are you going to open up the dining room? And I can tell you that the plan is that we'll be doing it probably in April, but it's going to be a very slow start. Because it's like we learned the last time. It's much easier to start slowly, start incrementally, and then just continue to build on that than to say, okay, back to the way it was, and then have to pull out the rug from under everybody.
And
so
that's what happened.
We're not going to make the same mistake twice. We're going to be a little bit more methodical about it, and the same with the room capacities. So but just in even inching it up by a few people per room, that's really that's a big help for some of those programs. It's the difference between doing something once a week as opposed to having to split it and do it. So if we can add a few people, so that's what we're doing.
It's a good message to people too, to say, it's not all back to the way it used to be.
Right.
Still be careful.
Yep.
And so we were talking about it yesterday, and masks aside, staying away from people is also helpful.
Right,
to
exactly.
either prevent transmission or from getting COVID.
Yeah.
So I think people are getting better at that. I notice it a lot, how even just out in public places, and that's part of the reason why, the mask mandate is now just an advisory, but also the advisory of, don't be on top of each other.
Yeah, give yourself a little bit of space.
Yeah.
And you know what, Joe, that's one of the things that I think one of the takeaways that we've talked about as a staff is that's not just COVID. It's all this other stuff that's, the stomach bug, the common cold, the flu, those kinds of things. It's like a little protection around yourself, and that's not spreading as much. We're finding that those things are not, somebody's getting it. In the old days, it's like if I had a staff member that got the stomach flu, you could bet the next day I got everybody calling out sick, and that's not happening now. People are protecting themselves from all kinds of communicable, health issues.
I think at the end of the day, you're going to find, and when they do an analysis of the last 2 years, probably the most effective control measure of all of the ones that we instituted is your physical distancing.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, you had said that yesterday, and I think that's really interesting. I think you're right about that. That's really interesting. All right, so let's take a little break. It's 7:30. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield Masses and WCPC cable channel 15. So we are going to listen to, in honor of the birthday of Victor Fleming, who is a film film director, cinematographer and director, and he did both Gone with the Wind and The Wizard of Oz in the same year. pretty talented guy. So we listened to Tara's theme from Gone with the Wind. We're going to listen to If I Only Had a Heart, because I figured February is also Heart Month.
That's right.
So I figured we'll listen to If I Only Had a Heart from The Wizard of Oz. And when we come back, Joe, we're going to talk about food safety today.
Yeah.
So that's the topic of the day when we get back.
Good.
We'll be back in just a couple minutes.
When a man's an empty kettle, he should be on his mettle, and yet I'm torn apart. Just because I'm presuming that I could be kinda human if I only had a heart. I'd be tender, I'd be gentle, and awful sentimental regarding love and art. I'd be friends with the sparrows and the boy who shoots the arrows if I only had a heart. Picture me a balcony, above a voice sings low.
Wherefore art thou, Romeo?
I hear a beat. How sweet just to register emotion, jealousy, devotion, and really feel the part. I could stay young and chipper, and I'd lock it with a zipper if I only had a heart. I'm a little rusty yet.
Oh, dear. That was wonderful.
Underwriting support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Greater Westfield Chamber of Commerce, the voice of business for the Greater Westfield communities. Informing, educating, advocating, the Chamber provides opportunities for members to make meaningful connections on local, regional, and state levels. For more information on the Chamber's many events, workshops, and programs, as well as the benefits of membership, visit westfieldbiz.org. The Chamber focuses on the most important economy, yours.
Support for community radio on WSKB is provided by Betts Plumbing and Heating Supply Company, an independent, family-owned wholesaler serving Westfield for over 50 years, specializing in plumbing, heating, and industrial piping supplies. On the web at bettsplumbing.com or at 14 Coleman Avenue in Westfield.
Join us the third Wednesday of every month with Selectman Joe Didi and his take on everything Southwick.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB. Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 7:35. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield Masses and WCPC Cable Channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host, and with me this morning on the fourth Wednesday of the month is Joe Rouse, Director of Public Health for the City of Westfield. So, Joe, good morning again.
Good morning. You know, I noticed that when you introduce yourself, you don't give your official title, which is interesting because
Right.
You're not. I mean,
Yeah.
you're functioning in that.
I know.
capacity,
Well, my official
but-
title is Executive Director of the Westfield Council on Aging / Senior Center, which is a whole big mouthful.
Yeah.
But, Joe, I have people that run into me on the street and don't really realize that's my job. And they think this is my job. They think like I'm a TV talk show host. And, there's a little part of me that kind of likes that. So, so anyway.
I
but
got to start
they
doing
put it
that
in
on
my
my
job.
show. I don't want to introduce myself in my official capacity.
Yeah,
'cause
just
technically it's
give
on
them your
my
name.
time anyway,
Right, exactly. You got that right.
Yeah.
Yeah, my senior center's not open yet. This is all on my own time.
You'd still be there anyway.
I probably would. All right, so Joe, we are talking about food safety. So where would you like to start?
Well, I wanted to just bring this up because I had done it on my show and it was very well received. And,
Yeah.
to talk about those confusing dates on packaging.
I'm loving this.
We'll get to that.
I'm loving this because I had this conversation with my daughter not long ago. We had some yogurt in the refrigerator. And I said, I think you can. And Grace is looking at it. She goes, Mom, we can't eat this. And she's looking at the date. And I had opened one. I'm like, smells fine, tastes fine, looks good. But now I can't remember whether it was a sell by or a use by. So there's differences.
You're onto
so
something.
you're going to explain all that.
Yeah. You want me to do that now?
Absolutely.
All right,
do whatever. You start wherever you want to start.
No, let's do that. We're on that.
Okay.
We're on that thing. So, the date labeling thing.
Yeah,
This is
and
all from-
expires. So there are all these dates. There's use by, sell by,
Yeah.
expires. I'm getting confused.
The ones that you'll see most commonly are best if used by or before.
Okay.
There's a sell by date. There's a
Okay.
use by date, and I think there's one more. Hold on. And a freeze by date.
Oh.
Mm.
Okay.
Yep. So basically, the best if used by, which is I think the most common one that you'll see.
Best if used by.
That's
Yep.
the one that people look at and they go, okay, if I don't eat this by this date, then
I
it's
can't
gone.
eat it, but
Gotta
that's
get
not
rid of
true,
it."
right?
It's not true. That just indicates when a product will be of best flavor or quality.
Okay.
It is not a purchase or safety date.
Okay.
So there. And then we'll get into what that really means after.
Okay.
The sell by date is just the date that tells the store how long to display the product for sale for inventory management. It's not a safety date.
Okay.
Then there's the use by. So there's best if used by, and then
Yep.
there's use by. So maybe the use by one is the one that people feel like is most strict.
Right.
That's the drop.
I would
date.
think so.
So best if used by is just a quality thing.
Yep.
Used by is the last date recommended for the use of the product while at peak quality. It's not a safety date except for when used on infant formula.
Okay.
So even the used by one
Okay.
is not the end of the world. That's not the end of the line.
Well, here's the one that always is the kicker for me, and that is like cold cut, like luncheon meat or
Yep.
cold cuts.
Mhm.
I never know. I never know. Like, how long are those okay?
Well, let me do the last one. The freeze by
Okay.
date, that just indicates when a product should be frozen to maintain peak quality. It's not a purchase or safety date. So none of these ones so far
Mhm.
are anything that precludes you from eating that product after
After
the date.
whatever the date is, whether it's a freeze by, use by, sell by.
Right.
Okay.
And by the way, this is all from the FDA
Okay.
Food Safety Inspection Service. So
Okay.
um,
But you know what? Right out of the gate, that's already confusing because
Yep.
I think most people are like, well, what I want to know is not when it's most flavorful, but when is it no longer safe to eat this?
you alluded to it in your opening statement, when it's literally obviously not good anymore.
Okay.
Is it slimy? You got
Yeah.
bologna. Is it slimy? Get
Yeah.
rid of it.
Does it smell funny?
Does it smell funny? Yeah. Yogurt, you open it. I
Yeah.
mean, yogurt to me always
Yeah.
smells funny.
It
but
does- it does- it
You
does
know,
smell
it's not going to kill you. You taste it and you realize, oop, nope, this went bad.
Yeah.
I mean, I always see it, but somebody, opens a thing of milk and they sniff it first.
Yeah. I do
So
that. Well, that because some of them, I think dairy sometimes that's a little bit more obvious.
Right.
And yeah, certainly if things are like kind of getting slimy. Ugh.
Well, what the FDA says is, with an exception of infant formula, as they
Okay.
described, if the date passes during home storage, a product should still be safe and wholesome if handled properly until the time spoilage is evident. So as long as you chill,
Okay.
refrigerate promptly, and then it says spoiled foods will develop an off odor, flavor, or texture due to naturally occurring spoilage from bacteria. If a food has developed such spoilage characteristics, it should not be eaten.
Okay.
So that's really
Yeah.
the whole thing.
So it's kind of
like-
a practical thing.
Yeah, so the dates are, I think, good for telling people if you eat this steak after the best, if used by date, it may not be as good as if you had
Yeah, it
eaten
might not be as flavorful.
before that,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
But it really has nothing to do with the food being bad. And
Okay.
and they say 30% of the food products sold in the country are wasted unnecessarily because of those dates.
Now, let me ask you something, Joe, because the one thing that we haven't talked about is expiration date. Was that listed in any of the
No,
information?
and I think that one is more not necessarily for.
You see
food
that a lot,
products.
like with canned goods,
Right, it's-
expiration date. And I know because I've volunteered at the parish cupboard in West Springfield, and I know the food pantry here. Like when we used to do food drives, that was one thing that if you looked at the expiration date, and in some cases it was like 3-4 years ago,
Right.
because it came out of Grandma's kitchen that we just cleaned out.
Yeah.
Those would all get tossed. But I didn't really know, like, again, especially on canned goods. I always thought the expiration date was more of a safety thing, because usually the expiration date is like, sometimes it's a couple of years. So this is, and you figure, well, if it's past that, it's like really probably.
Well, yeah, and it's so this is really more geared towards perishable food,
fresh food. Okay.
So,
Good.
but
Okay.
so the expiration dates on canned goods especially should be observed, because the whole canning process
Yes.
is it's usually done right if it's retail products that you buy
Yep.
at the grocery store, but it does still have a shelf life, so that it could potentially, even though it's a sealed can,
Yes.
there's botulism concerns and
Yep.
things like that. So,
Okay.
if you have green beans that expired a year ago, I wouldn't eat those.
Right.
And
right.
But you're right; they do have a really long shelf life. So
Yeah, they do. A lot of the if you purchase a canned good, if you look at the expiration date, sometimes it's like, it'll be like 2024,
Yep.
or something like that. It's like, okay, good stuff. But just I think one of the things that I do, only because I'm pretty obsessive compulsive, but I have my whole family doing it now too. So if I buy like say mayonnaise, and I always like to have extra of things. So I'll take, when I go to put it in the cabinet, I'll take, and I even do this like with yogurt and stuff in the refrigerator. I take whatever's in there and I move it to the front and put the new stuff in the back. You know what I mean? So behind it, so that you're always kind of like rotating. And I know we do that at the senior center, and that's because for some people you're kind of looking at it going, and especially I have people with visual problems. We have seniors that have, and so do I. I mean, I'm wearing my glasses for everything practically. So it's just kind of that reminder of soup. It's like, okay, move the older stuff to the front, put the new stuff behind, so that you're always like rotating through, and even that, so you don't necessarily have to check the date on that, but well, this is the older, I'm going to use this first.
yeah, I do that at home too.
Yeah, good.
Probably a little bit more obsessively than necessary.
Yeah. Well, but it is what it is. That's okay.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. So, what do you want to? Do you want to
You're
get
good.
into something else? Or
All right,
do
you know
wanna
what?
take a
Let's take a break, because I have this great song, because it's National Banana Bread Day. So we'll take our final break here a little bit early, and then we'll get into the next topic. But we're going to listen to Harry Belafonte singing Deo.
Oh, nice.
You got to do that for National Banana Day. So you're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield Masses and WCPC cable channel 15. Joe Rouse is my guest this morning. We're talking food safety, and we'll be right back.
Daylight come and me want go home. Work all night and a drink a rum. Daylight come and me want go home. Stack banana till the morning come. Daylight come and me want go home. Come, Mr. Tallyman, tally me banana. Daylight come and me want go home. Come, Mr. Tallyman, tally me banana. Daylight come and me want go home. Live 6 foot, 7 foot, 8 foot bunch. Daylight come and me want go home. 6 foot, 7 foot, 8 foot bunch. Daylight come and me want go home. Day is a day. Oh. Daylight come and me want go a day, a beautiful bunch, a ripe banana. Daylight come and we want go home. Hide the deadly black tarantula. Daylight come and we want go home. Live 6 foot, 7 foot, 8 foot bunch. Daylight come and we want go home. 6 foot, 7 foot, 8 foot bunch. Daylight come and we want go home. There is a day, oh. Daylight come and we want go home. There is a day, is a day, is a day, is a day, and we want go home. Come, Mr. Tallyman, tally me banana. Daylight come and we want go home. Come, Mr. Tallyman, tally me banana. Daylight come and we want go home. Day-o, day-o. Daylight come and we want go home. Day, is that 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 day. Daylight come and we want go.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Barnes and Noble College Bookstore in the Ely Campus Center, offering Westfield State t-shirts, sweatshirts, and gift merchandise, all of your academic needs, and offering textbook materials in new, used, ebook, and rental formats. Available at the bookstore on campus or online at westfieldsstate.bncollege.com.
Hi, this is Harry Rock, host of Rock on Westfield every fourth Wednesday at 8 a.m. Tune in for my view of this place I call home.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB. Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 at 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 7:47. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM, radio for the Westfield Masses, and WCPC Cable Channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host. We got a full studio here. We got Pete Coles, producer in the background. We got Harry Rock on deck. Rock on Westfield will start at 8 o'clock. And my guest this morning is Joe Rouse, Director of Public Health for the City of Westfield. And we are talking food safety. So good morning again, Joe.
Good morning. It's about time to not have to talk about COVID the whole entire show.
Pete and I were talking about that at the beginning, and I said, because I always announce to early in my first hour that you'll be my guest second hour, and I said to Pete, and guess what? We are not talking COVID. We are talking new nurse at the senior center. We're talking food safety. We're talking about other things. But you know what? The one thing, Joe, I think that has, I'm always looking for silver linings with this COVID thing. And I think the one thing is, of course, it really brought the local boards of health to the forefront on what you people actually do, and the fact that most cities and towns have a local board of health, and, sort of what your areas of expertise are. So I think to that end, people are much more cognizant of, oh, yeah, we do, we have a board of health and this is, and this. But I think now my thing is like, now that we have your attention because of COVID, now we're going to start talking about what you've been doing pre-COVID, food safety being one, restaurant inspections. We talked about radon last month. So, just some of the other things that you're doing. So
yeah, it's nice to get back to it. And I was always saying, the focus on COVID had to be that way, just because it's a pandemic. What do you
exactly?
But also because of it, it really was somewhat of a disservice to the community and the fact that we couldn't do other things that we would normally do.
Right.
So I used to say when we'd have these mask debates, what do you want to do? Do you want to sit and take up my time arguing with me about wearing a mask, or have me go do a restaurant inspection so you don't get food poisoning?
Right, so that you feel safe when you go out to eat.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's nice to get back to it, and I just wanted to bring this out. See, these are the types of things we should be talking about instead of all that other stuff, because that, not necessarily that time has passed, but we need to pivot.
Yes, we need to pivot because we're fluid.
Yes. Now, before I talk about food safety, especially in your home, I want people to understand that I'm not preaching, I'm not judging, And you might say, you know what, I've been doing the same thing for 50 years and I haven't gotten sick yet. And you don't know that. You may have.
Yeah.
You may have attributed it to something else.
That's
This
right.
is what commonly happens.
Yeah.
There's two different types. There's foodborne illness, which is the obvious, bacterial, salmonella,
Yes.
those
Yeah.
types of things that you can get from undercooked foods. And then there's foodborne intoxication, which is another one that nobody really knows about.
I never even heard that expression.
Okay, so you know how like when you go to a restaurant and you eat and an hour later you're sick and you go, well, I got food poisoning from wherever.
Yeah.
You can't. It doesn't act that fast.
That's what I was going to say. I didn't think it moved that fast.
But there is foodborne intoxication. And what that means is say there's somebody that's working in the kitchen that has a cut on their finger and, it's like some sort of staph infection or something, and that gets into the food that you eat, it will have a relatively quick reaction.
Okay.
And they call that an intoxication. So it's not necessarily going to be systemic where you're going to have to, salmonella is a big deal.
Yeah.
And it can really run you down because it's just, you can't keep anything in your body.
Yeah.
So anyway, just to say there are two different things. It's really...
Well, thank you for that distinction. I've never heard the phrase, what is it called?
Foodborne intoxication.
Foodborne intoxication.
Right.
Okay.
So in your home, I know, and, I see this all the time. I used to say, like, to even my grandmother, it's like, hey, don't use the sponge to clean the counter, okay? If you're going to use a sponge, go ahead and use a sponge. Make sure you change it frequently. But certainly don't use it for any countertop or food contact surface. It's just a breeding ground for bacteria, especially a sponge that you've been, cleaning dirty dishes with and stuff like that. So
for a month.
Yeah. So just there's four basic premises that you want to look out for in food safety throughout. Could be in a restaurant, could be in your home. So the number one is clean. So wash hands often.
Okay.
When you're in your kitchen and you're cooking, wash hands and surfaces often. And the mishandling of food is another one that this happens so often, and I don't know how. I get really paranoid about it. You bring in groceries home, and you're like taking the hamburger out of the bag and putting it in the refrigerator, and I feel like what if that leaked onto the packaging or something, and now I'm going to cross-contaminate when I touch everything else. But the other part of it is about that. Separate when handling raw meat. So poultry, seafood, just keep everything separate. Like what I was just saying. Like don't handle raw foods, and then, even if it's in the packaging. The other thing that you don't want to do, and this was something I just found out a couple years ago, it's not recommended that you wash your meat.
Yes,
so
I heard that too. I don't know whether you chicken. And that might have come out on this show. You might have said that before, somebody told me that, and I was like, really? Because I always used to wash my chicken.
No,
they
don't want that
whatever.
because then it's just going to contaminate your sink.
Yeah.
And possibly splash out and get on other stuff. So it doesn't take much to get you sick. Cooking temperatures are huge, so that's another one that I actually do have a thermometer at home that I use all the time.
Okay, like a meat thermometer?
Yeah, it's actually a thermocouple, so it's a little bit more accurate than like those bimetallic stem thermometers.
Yeah,
But those are good too.
Okay.
You just got to get in the range. And we'll talk about the safe internal temperatures just real quick in a minute. And the last one is the chilling, or the keeping things cold, keeping it at the proper temperatures.
Yep.
So refrigerate at, if you can get your home refrigerator at around 41, 42 degrees, keep it below 45 for sure.
Yep.
In commercial establishments, when we do inspections, 41 is optimum. That's exactly where.
Yeah, on our walk-in cooler, like we have a range, like there's a range thing. So, and that is one of the things when I'm cleaning up at the end of the day, and we're locking everything up, I'm always checking those. Is it in the range? Because ours is usually around 35, 36, something like that. And for me, it's like if it gets above 37, that's when I start getting a little nervous. I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on? And sometimes it has to do with the outdoor temperature, and it fluctuates during the day and same with the freezer. So that's when I know we're in trouble. If I go through there and I'm going, why is that number higher than it's supposed to be?
Yeah.
And of course, it's a big walk-in cooler, walk-in freezer. It's not like the whole thing's, it's not like it's going to turn into an oven overnight, but still, that's when you know you've got to get the repair guy in because we're heading in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
But it's hard. It must be hard. Like I've never thought about it for my refrigerator at home. I really don't even know what the temp is. Can you get I guess you can just get a thermometer they can put in there, right?
They sell them at the grocery stores. If you go in, there's
fridge
the
thermometer?
little stand-up metal ones that you put in.
Yeah,
on the
you know what?
shelf.
Now that I think about it, my mother used to have one of those. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's just real good because, and I would venture to guess that most people have their refrigerator at home at the proper temperature because you want things to be cold.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're
of
not
course.
really thinking about preserving food safety wise,
Right.
but you don't want you don't want warm milk.
Yeah.
If you put water in, you don't want.
So what's what is the you want it below? What's the temp, Joe, that you want your
It
refrigerator?
definitely needs to be below 45 at
Okay.
home, but
Okay.
it's more like you want to sit around 40 or 41.
Okay.
If you go any lower than that for residential purposes, sometimes things can be too cold.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
then-
Especially like fresh produce.
And
Yeah.
then if your temperature control also operates your freezer,
Mhm.
the lower it goes, the more problems you're going to have
Yeah.
with
Okay.
ice accumulation.
Okay.
So anyway, we were going to talk about temperatures real quick, and I showed you this cold storage chart that I have.
I'm loving that.
I got it years ago, and it's it basically lists everything under the sun that you can think of, and how long it'll last in a refrigerator at 40 degrees, and then how long it'll last in the freezer at frozen.
Okay.
0 degrees.
We have to get
Yeah,
these.
I
We got to get these charts.
I know. So just one of the things I'll pull out of here is that it says hamburger and stew meat in the refrigerator at 40 degrees, 1 to 2 days.
Okay, so before you cook it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And then freezer, it'll last 3 to 4 months.
Okay.
So, and this is all put out by the National Restaurant Association and was in conjunction with, I don't know if it was the FDA or another organization, but it's, reputable sources.
Well, my thought is that, you and I had talked about that chart. I'm looking at that chart is so it's just great. I mean, I just feel like so we were talking about the fact that if we can find like sort of the new updated, I think the information's going to be the same if we just find, but if we can't, we're taking that to some copy place.
Absolutely,
And, that I mean, that's got a grant written all over it, but I think that's really, really important for people to have that information. So unfortunately, Joe, we are I'm looking at the clock, so we are running out of time, but you know what? That's okay. This was part 1.
Okay.
Because I really definitely want to continue this next month. I want to talk about, what gets refrigerated, what doesn't get refrigerated, how do you defrost things properly, whether it's meat or whether it's something else that you pulled out of the freezer without, creating a health hazard. So I think there's a lot more that we can do with the whole food thing. And I don't want to just run through this, but I know I got Harry Rock there, and I know his guest has already arrived. So we're going to wrap this up, but we will continue with food stuff, important food information. Part 2 will be next month.
Great.
So thank you so much, Joe. And thank you for giving us Evelyn. We love her.
Yep.
And if you have not met our new nurse, although 215 of you met her last week, because we had her out helping us with curbside lunches. She also helped us, by the way, I don't know if she told you this, she was helping us with our brown bag food program with assembly. And the one thing that I love about Evelyn, she kind of wandered in and she said, well, this is a monthly thing. And the day before we do the distribution, we have to assemble all this food. And, it's like an assembly line and you're bagging everything. And she kind of came in and said, this looks like something I should know what you guys are doing, and if you need help. And we said, great, here, you're putting the beans in the bag and you're next to this person. And so we love that. We just love people who will jump in and help out.
fit.
So so come in and meet our new nurse, Evelyn Bristol. Joe Rouse, thank you so much. And your parting words?
Stay healthy, my friends.
Have a good one. Harry Rock comes up next. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM, radio for the Westfield Masses, and WCPC Cable Channel 15. Have a good one.
Support for community radio on